The time is 6:45. Here's the news edited by Lal Malabarachi, read by Victor Raj. First, take a look at the headlines of the local news. 633 new COVID-19 patients reported yesterday, increasing the total count up to 10,424. The government started delivering 10,000 rupees worth of essential food items to the families under self-quarantine in Kampah district. New Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka says the China-Sri Lanka relationship develops further. The government requests chief incumbents of the Buddhist temples to limit annual Katina Pinkamas only to essential rituals. The Archbishop of Colombo, His Holiness Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, invites all Catholics to return to prayer to counter the pandemic. News overseas: powerful earthquake jolts Turkey and Greece, killing at least 22. Local news in detail. Sri Lanka registered 633 new infections yesterday, while total positive cases from the cluster reached 6,946 as far as the Minwangoda cluster is concerned. Thereby, the total number of positive cases confirmed in the country increased to 10,424. The epidemiology unit says 6,123 active cases are currently under medical care. COVID-19 recoveries reported in Sri Lanka, meanwhile, reached 4,282 early in the day, as 140 patients were discharged from hospitals upon returning to normal health conditions. New ambassador designate of China to Sri Lanka, Qi Zhangzhong, arrived yesterday, and he is to undergo self-quarantine for 2 weeks, the Chinese embassy in Colombo announced. Meanwhile, in a brief written statement at the Bandar Naik International Airport, Ambassador Qi has invited to join hands to implement the consensus reached by the leaders of the two countries. He stated that he expects to further strengthen and develop the long-standing relationship between the two countries. The government has launched a program to provide 10,000 rupees worth of essential food items to families under self-quarantine in their respective homes due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Essential food items such as vegetables, fruits and dry rations valued at 5,000 rupees will be delivered to families under quarantine on the 2 separate occasions. The distribution of essential items to 6,807 families in the Kampah district commenced yesterday. Kampah district secretary Sunil Jailat said that this is in line with the government's move to quarantine the close associates of COVID-19 infected people in their own homes instead of sending them to quarantine centers. A sum of 6.8 million rupees has been allocated for this purpose. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, the Department of Buddhist Affairs advises the chief incumbents of the Buddhist temples and centers to strictly adhere to the COVID-19 health guidelines while conducting the annual Katina Pinkama this year. The department requests to limit the ceremonies to the essential rituals only owing to the situation with the participation of a minimum number of devotees. The department says only 5 Buddhist monks and 30 laymen should take part in such religious activities. Meanwhile, Archbishop of Colombo, His Holiness Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, invites all Catholics to return to prayer, as this is the most powerful tool in trying times such as this. He said that while the government authorities had put in a great effort in controlling the situation, the public cannot let their guard down, as the virus has come back in a more virulent form and many are afflicted. Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohan says about 60 police officers have been infected with COVID-19 since the beginning of the Minwangoda Paliagoda cluster. Another 300 officers have been directed to quarantine. A special program has been implemented to prevent the virus spread among police officers. He further said that public should not take unnecessary fear to visit police stations for get vital services. That ends local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
A team of technicians from Chinese company have arrived in Sri Lanka last night in order to repair the PCR testing machine, the Chinese embassy in Colombo said. They have already started checking the machine under special quarantine measures, cladding with protective kits. So far, the malfunction reason is not clear. The embassy tweeted and said other machines will also be checked and maintained. Due to the breakdown of the PCR machine, nearly 20,000 PCR test results had been delayed. That came to you in main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watchlight, police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohan has requested the public to be vigilant as fraudsters can arrive posing as public health inspectors, stating that they have come to conduct PCR tests. He said that some such incidents have been reported from certain areas of the country. He further said no medicine is given prior to conducting the PCR tests. That came to you on Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Powerful earthquake jolts Turkey and Greece, killing at least 22. US election 22. Biden and Trump in tug-of-war over Midwestern states. Qatar regrets any distress after women from 8 flights subjected to compulsory medical examinations at Doha airport. World news in detail. At least 22 people have been killed in Turkey and Greece after a powerful earthquake hit the Aegean Sea last evening, sending buildings crashing down and triggering what authorities have called a mini tsunami. Officers said 22 people were killed in coastal areas in Turkey's west, while 2 teenagers died on the Greek island of the Samos after a wall collapsed on them. In Turkey, at least 20 buildings in the city of Izmir alone were destroyed. Mayor Tönök Toyas told CNN Turk. Images showed vehicles crushed under the buildings and people digging through the rubble in search of survivors. At least 709 people have been injured in Turkey, said the country's disaster agency. Dozens were saved by rescue teams using diggers and helicopters to search for survivors. U.S. President Donald Trump and his Democratic challenger Joe Biden are crisscrossing Midwestern states that may hold the keys to the White House. Mr. Biden went on the offensive in the Iowa, a state that voted for Mr. Trump by 10 points in 2016. Mr. Trump was making a play for Minnesota, a state that voted narrowly for Hillary Clinton 4 years ago. Mr. Biden holds a solid national lead ahead of the Tuesday's general election, but his advantage over Mr. Trump is narrow in the handful of U.S. states that could vote for either candidate and decide the outcome in 4 days' time. More than 85 million people have voted, early 55 million of them by post, setting the US on course for the biggest voter turnout in over a century. The government of Qatar has said it regrets any distrust of infringement on the personal freedom of any traveller after it was revealed that more than 18 women from 10 different flights were subjected to compulsory intimate medical examinations following the discovery of an abandoned infant in Doha International Airport. Speaking at a hearing in the Australian Senate on Wednesday morning, Australian Foreign Minister Maurice Payne said that 13 Australian citizens were among those removed from the flights and forced to undergo grossly inappropriate inspections while transiting through the Qatar on October 2nd. It was not clear how many women were searched in total. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Powerful earthquake jolts Turkey and Greece, killing at least 22. US election 22, Biden and Trump in tug-of-war over Midwestern states. Qatar regrets any distress after women from 10 flights subjected to compulsory medical examinations at Doha Airport. That ends World News.
Development News is brought to you by...
My wife always sets a full lunch table even if it's just the two of us. She always expects people to drop by, like maybe the army.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
The State Printing Corporation, SPC, began using newly produced papers of the corporation from this week for printing. The Walacheni paper mill of the National Paper Company Limited under the Industries Ministry produced 3 types of standard papers for printing at the SPC. The Walacheni paper mill, owned by the National Paper Company, had been closed for the last 3 decades due to the war in the north and east. More than 500 employees lost their jobs, and the previous government also tried to sell the land owned by the Walacheni paper mill. That came to you on Development News.
When Tati bought a new family car, it wasn't just for the 4 of us.
It's a 10-seater van. Enough for friends and relatives too.
Mummy insisted on building an extra room in our new house. Well, you never know who'll come to stay. We need more pillows too.
When I was studying late, Nangi would come by to help.
No, I don't know physics, but I do know you need a Munchie Super Cream Cracker.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others.
When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves.
Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
Sports News is brought to you by
Munchie Chocolate Cream Biscuit. Chocolate in every bite.
Tennis news. World number 1 Novak Djokovic suffered a shock defeat by Italy's Lorenzo Sonego in the quarterfinals of the Vienna Open. The Serb was beaten 6-2, 6-1 by the world number 42, who only came into a tournament as a lucky loser. Sonego will face Dan Evans in the semi-finals after the Briton outlasted Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov. Evans showed plenty of determination to come through 7-6, 4-6, 6-2 in 2 hours and 42 minutes. It is the second week in a row that the world number 33 has reached the semi-finals after Antwerp last week, where he lost the Ugo Humbert. Olympics news. Japan-based ticket holders for the postponed Tokyo Olympics will be able to apply for refunds from 10th November onwards. Since deciding to postpone the games until 2021 because of the COVID-19 pandemic, organizers have said ticket holders could apply for refunds if they no longer wanted to attend. That ends sports news.
Hey guys, we've got our very own Queen Bear here to review something for us.
Okay, here we go.
It's the right amount of crunch and OMG, so much chocolate. The texture is so good. It's creamy and velvety and just so much chocolate. The packaging is super cool and new and there's like so much chocolate. And OMG, the taste, it tastes like so good and there's so much chocolate. Like with every bite. 10 out of 10 for me.
Munchie chocolate cream biscuit. Chocolate in every bite.
Empower your dreams with NSB Wings. NSB Wings. Recharge the high goals.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
People's Bank and Sri Lanka Insurance continued their growing partnership with the official opening of the People's Bank Service Centre at SLIC head office premises. The service centre is part of People's Bank's strategy to offer corporate digital solutions that help streamline business operations and strengthen corporate relationships. An SLIC service desk was opened on the same day at People's Bank's head office branch to offer enhanced service to bank customers. That came to you in Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
The wait is over and it's time for you to experience happiness. It's time to remap the graph for success. It's time to rebuild your empire. It's time to initiate your entrepreneur dreams. Empower your dreams with NSB Wings. Get your 2-year personal loan for just 7% per annum, starting from 500,000 rupees to 10 million rupees. All you need is just one guarantee. NSB Wings. Recharge the high goals.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Hello, Puta. Did you land already?
We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy.
Calm down, everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge.
LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Oil prices fell 4% yesterday to their lowest since mid-June, extending the previous day's sharp decline on the potential impact renewed coronavirus lockdowns will have on oil demand. December Brent crude futures were down $1.52 at $37.60. The more active January contract lost to $1.48 a barrel to $38.16. That ends economic news.
Congratulations on your promotion. It will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Finally, on to the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in Uva, eastern and north central provinces and in Hambantota, Mullaitivu and Bavuniya districts after 2 p.m. Fairly heavy falls, above 50 mm can be expected at some places, particularly in Uva province and in Trincomalee and Ampara districts. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by the temporary, localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. That ends the weather report, and let's take a look at the headlines to wrap up the morning news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka. 633 new COVID-19 patients reported yesterday, increasing the total count up to 10,424. The government started delivering 10,000 rupees worth of essential food items to the families under self-quarantine in Kampar district. New Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka says the China-Sri Lanka relationship develops further. The government requests chief incumbents of Buddhist temples to limit annual cutting up incomes only to essential rituals. The Archbishop of Colombo, His Holiness Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, invites all Catholics to return to prayer to counter the pandemic. News overseas: powerful earthquake jolts Turkey and Greece, killing at least 22. With that, we bring to an end the morning news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka.